Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this TriStar Sports Show. Jamie and I are here back again for episode 12, where we're going to highlight college football and what happened this previous week and what's coming up this week. Um, Unfortunately, we have to address the elephant in the room, which is Tennessee losing for the first time this season.
Yeah.
Hopefully the last time. But, Jamie, what happened?
We lost. We got beat. I mean, we didn't look like the better team on the field. In my opinion, we didn't look like the better team on the field. We don't look like the better team in the box scores looking at it after the game. I mean, we just got beat. They played better than us.
I think it's a fair thing to say we got outplayed and outcoached.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a tough pill to swallow, I think, to say the least, especially going in there as 2 touchdown favorites. But all that goes out the window in games like that.
Yeah.
Tennessee continues to seems like struggle under the Heupel era on the road. We did some research before we got on the show today, and his record is now 6-8 in true road games as a Tennessee Vols head coach.
Less than stellar, to say the least.
Yeah, that's not a great stat to be in. It seems like they keep happening every year, especially as we've gotten better. It seems like it's happening in games that we shouldn't. I understand if you lose a game at Alabama or at Georgia, but that's not what's happening. Last year we had the same issue with at Missouri and at what was the other one we lost last year? At Florida
Yeah,
in Gainesville.
at Florida. We were there. Tried to block
we
that
were there.
one out.
That game in Gainesville was definitely supposed to be a win, and another disappointing loss. Then Missouri, granted, was a good team last year, so you can't totally chalk it up as a disappointment. However, we played really bad.
Yeah.
The stats have shown that our offense is averaging 13 less points a game on the road in the Heupel era, which is definitely a concern.
Yeah. I mean, people are going to start calling the no-huddle offense a gimmick that only works at home if we don't prove them different.
I mean, I think it's a fair thing to say at this point.
Right.
I mean, you have more losses than wins on the road in his 3-4 years, however long he's been here now.
I mean,
I don't get me wrong. I'm still a Josh Heupel believer. I am not going to sit here and say anyone needs to be fired because we've been down this road before. The whole firing thing doesn't work out too great. And on top of that, he's been by far better than any coach we've had in the last
absolutely.
two decades, it feels like now. So can't really sit here and act like the world is ending. But there's definitely a lot of red flags. There's a lot of red flags. And you're now, I guess, at a good point in the season where you can call it the crossroads. There's 2 ways you can go. There's either you have a big bounce back game and you get back on track, or your train derails.
Yeah.
So ideally, there's no derailment because derailment would, well, we don't really want to know what that would be like. I feel like this show would probably derail as well, and our mental health would probably derail. But with all that being said, 14 points is not really acceptable, especially when your defense playing the way it has been.
Yeah. It looks like Iowa.
With the worst punter, because we didn't even punt perfect. You know, if you're going to do the whole Iowa method, you got to be pinning them every time. And
right.
We did a time or two, but I think what baffles me the most is if you told me Saturday morning when I woke up that Tennessee was going to score 14 points in this game and we weren't going to turn the ball over, I would have been probably a little confused on what the heck that looks like because we haven't seen it. anytime this offense struggles, it feels like you do throw an interception here or there, or get stopped on fourth downs. I don't even think we went for it on fourth down one time this game.
7 punts.
7 punts.
7 punts.
Jackson Ross, our punter, posted earlier in the season that he was getting bored. Well, he was not bored on Saturday.
No. I mean, I don't even know what to say. Sampson ran the ball well. Maybe a little too much. If you ask,
the second half.
Yeah, if you ask some people, I thought we should have been throwing the ball more than we did, preferably downfield and not laterally for a 2 or 3 yard gain on a screen. But you know what? I don't know, man. I mean, Nico threw the ball 17 times.
That is not a lot.
Got to be more than that. I don't know what's going on between him and Heupel. I don't know if Heupel doesn't have full trust in him yet. I don't know. Has he not unleashed the full playbook yet? Was it just bad game planning? Were they looking ahead to Florida? Who knows? But, yeah, I agree. It's unacceptable. 14 points whenever you have this kind of talent just isn't. You can't have it.
I mean, there was a legit feeling when we went up 14-3 that if we just scored one more time, this game was going to be out of reach the way the defense was playing.
Which we probably would have.
It would have been.
If there wasn't a roughing the punter call or roughing the kicker.
That's the other thing that was honestly the most disappointing is the self-inflicted wounds. The false starts. I mean, I'm not even sure I'm sure we can see it in the box score how many false starts we had, but the amount of times we not only had a false start, we started a drive with a false start. So we're not talking we've already moved the ball. We just finally got the ball back on offense, and the very first thing you do is have a false start, and you're starting with the 1st and 15. Our offense is not built. Not many offenses in the country are built to play behind the chains, behind the sticks. Ours especially. We are very run first on first down. We're run heavy on first down. And if we're not doing that, we're trying to throw a quick screen. And golly, if I see one more quick screen to Squirrel White, I might lose my mind. That is no dig to Squirrel White. I just think we could use him in so many better ways.
Where's a jet sweep?
I'd rather see us jet sweep every first down. Give him a chance to at least have a full head of steam. When you have a player as explosive and fast as Squirrel White, what logical sense does it make to give him the ball when he's standing flat-footed? It doesn't.
It doesn't. I mean, the point of throwing your quick screens is to try and set up the deep pass and bring the defense in. But we never threw the deep pass, and they never had to respect it because we were only getting 2 or 3 yards on every screen.
There's got to be a point where I think, to an extent, Nico is trying so hard to take care of the football that he's not. I don't want to say he should be forcing it, but he's not taking any chances. And
I would rather seen 4 touchdowns and 2 picks.
With his capability of passing the football, which we've seen in moments, let the kid sling it. Let's take the trailing wheels off. 17 pass attempts. I know we had more than 17 passing plays, but between sacks and him taking off and running, or
17 for 29,
or how many times we probably completed a pass and got called back on a stupid penalty. I mean,
right. Which, by the way, we did have 10 penalties for 60 yards,
and the 60 yards shows you right then and there that these weren't. It wasn't constant pass interferences or anything on defense. It was pre-snap penalties. I mean, other than the personal foul on the punter, the 15-yarder, that's 15 of the 60 right there. So you're left with 45. 8 for 45 is the rest of that right there.
9 for 45. So 9 5-yard penalties.
Right then and there. I don't even know if there was a holding call.
I wouldn't be surprised if all 9 of those were false starts.
Either that or a legal man downfield, or I mean, you're not even giving yourself a chance to do what we want to do. Our offense relies so heavy, for better or for worse, on the very first play of the drive. If you're going to run up tempo as fast as we do, you have to have positive plays on first down. If you don't, there's no momentum.
No, not
The
at all.
defense can start subbing. If you get in these situations where it's 3rd and 7, they're going to send in these fresh pass rushers, and our own line, to be honest, looks like they can't handle a fully rested, good defensive line. And I do think Arkansas was grossly underrated by everybody in the country. And maybe that's hindsight's 2020 because we just lost to them, and I'm trying to give them some sort of props. But I mean, they were generally a couple plays away right now from being undefeated, and probably a top 10 team in the country with how many ranked opponents they should have beaten by now.
Right. I mean, they got back there. That 4 sacks. It's just disappointing because
I mean,
our defense played well, and for so long it was Tennessee just needs a defense. Tennessee just needs a defense. Well, we got
Right.
one this year. James Pierce played his ass off. Our entire defense played their ass off. You have 13. You gave up 13 points in meaningful time of the game.
when we've been waiting for James Pierce to have one of these games, and it seemed like he showed up when we needed him the most, and he did. I mean, he was a menace all night
He was.
long in the run game, in the pass game, sometimes dropping into coverage. I mean, he played that key. He did such a good job, I want to give him credit on, of keeping contained of the quarterback. We knew that their quarterback was very mobile going into the game. He, for the most part, didn't bite too heavy on any of these plays. He just played the sideline, make him go run upfield where the rest of your defense is.
Their quarterback had negative rushing yards. I know that sacks are factored into that, but still.
I don't really know where to go from that.
Don't have anywhere to go but up.
I mean, and right after the game, I mean, all the doubt creeps right in that, same old Vols will never be good, and the season's over. But I think as I woke up Sunday morning, I realized a couple of things. One, there's a lot of games left to play. And
There
two,
are.
we're not the only ones that have had a big old blemish on our schedule so far this season. There's actually pretty much every team, it feels like.
Dropping from 4 to 8 could have been a lot worse.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we're still a top 8 team in the country, which is
Right.
a blessing that so many teams have struggled. But this season's not over, but there's a lot to clean up. I think you can't sit here and blame the whole loss on Nico, and if you're doing that, you probably don't understand football. I don't think you can 110% blame the coaching staff entirely. I think it was just a culmination of a few different things going wrong. You would have liked to see a better performance out of both of your offensive tackles after they are what we presumed is healthy. We finally got them both back and rested after a bye week, and they looked worse than they have all season. So
I don't know.
I don't know what we did during the bye week, but we should never, ever, 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 ever do it again.
I agree. I mean, it becomes a little bit worrisome whenever you have conflicting comments after a game about what happened in the bye week. You had Sampson come out and say that he felt like we practiced and prepared lackadaisically, and weren't as prepared as we could have been. And then Hype will come out and say that we prepare the same way we do every week and every day. And then I think Peely came out and said something about he only watches it, or he only can control what he can control, and he didn't feel like he prepared lackadaisically. And to his defense, the defense played great.
I agree.
And I mean, Sampson had a good game, and I don't mind him trying to take accountability for it, but I don't know.
I don't like that he said that to the public. However, him saying that tells me that somebody on that offensive side of the football, whoever it may be, they know who they are and that they made a mistake and they must have been slacking off or whatever the deal is. The defense seemed. I mean, yeah, like you said, Peely said that they weren't slacking off whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it showed that whatever the offense was doing during the bye week, whoever's to blame, they just need to forget about it and move on because
Get ready for the Gators.
could it have been? I'm not going to throw any accusations around. But I mean, that we know it was probably not Dylan Sampson based off of him saying it. Him saying it for one, and two,
Right.
the way he played. I mean, there's been no drop off by Dylan Sampson from any game this year.
Not at all. Well, I guess it's enough of that if you want to get into this coming week.
Yeah, we have a even bigger opportunity in front of us this week.
Must win.
I mean,
Absolute
down the stretch, it
must
feels like every game from here on out feels like a must win for the most part.
You got
If you want to be truly competitive, at least.
you've got one more slip up. Realistically, I mean,
looking at the schedule, you would think you got to win one of the two, Bama or Georgia. You have to if you want to make the playoffs.
and
So
realistically, it's looking like we'll have a better shot in Neyland against Bama. But yeah, you have to win one of the two. You can't lose to both, and you also have to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. This was a team we were supposed to beat, and losing to them is going to mess a lot of things up if we don't get back on track.
yeah, we can't sit here and just count every supposed to be win as a win anymore. I mean,
No.
I thought we were past this as a program, and I know there's going to be games every once in a while that happens. I mean, you look at Alabama losing to Vanderbilt. I mean, that was a meltdown. You saw Ole Miss lose to Kentucky. You've seen all these SEC teams kind of beat up on each other one way or another. But it would have been nice to put yourself in a situation where you could potentially lose to both Bama and Georgia,
Right.
still be in,
Absolutely.
and just take care of the rest of business. But that's over with. You can't really you can't dwell on it. You just got to take a different route than you thought you were going to take the route this year.
It is. It's Florida week now. Last week stung, but we got to move forward. And I mean, they're coming off a bye week, right?
No, they played against UCF. They won by
Right.
10 or something like that. It was like 24-13, I think, was the final. So maybe it was like 11 points. But,
Gotcha.
I mean, they played better in that game than they have recently. So hopefully they're not catching fire or anything of those varieties. You've been seeing both quarterbacks throughout a couple of these games. Mertz seems to take like the load of the snaps, but I mean, there's been plenty of moments where Lagway has played, and he also has played, well, obviously, when Mertz was out.
Mm-hmm.
Mertz is, I mean, both of them are obviously capable quarterbacks. Mertz has quite literally beat us last year. And then Lagway is a young, talented freshman. I don't know how he would respond in a moment like playing in Neyland. I don't really want to find out because we've been on the wrong side of history too many times with young quarterbacks deciding that that's going to be their breakout game. But I don't know. If this game doesn't get our players hyped up, I don't know if there's a pulse on our team anymore.
Right.
You're coming off a loss. It's a must-win situation. We're at home, sellout crowd. We're checkering the stadium. This is our checkered game. It's a night game. National TV once again. I don't know how else to get the team going than that. I mean,
if you look at Florida on the year, they're running more than they're passing. they're having trouble protecting the quarterback. They're having trouble taking care of the ball. They have 5 interceptions, 5 sacks on the season. It seems like a game where, as long as we go out and play our game and play the way that we have and we know we can, that we should win with relatively no issues.
Defensively, I'm not concerned going into this game whatsoever. They have given me no doubts at this point in the season to ever consider them just to fall apart.
Right.
And I have a hard time believing that would happen at home more than anything with the crowd behind them.
Absolutely.
The real question mark is, how is the young, talented quarterback Nico going to respond? How is Coach Heupel going to put him in a better situation to win football games? Because whatever they've had previously is not enough. I know we won the first 4 games, but even in that Oklahoma game, this was not any explosive offense. I know we all were happy because Heupel was like, oh, I took it easy. It was conservative. But at what point do we get concerned that that's just a blanket over something else here that's going on?
And we might be able to beat Florida playing like that with the way runs and our defense runs. But we're not going to be able to beat Alabama playing like that.
You're going to have to put up some points. And I know we could sit here and all of a sudden we take 2 screen passes to the house against Florida, and we're going to be like, well, keep throwing the damn screen. But I would like us to eventually go back to the offense where the pump fake on the screen, where in the wheel route, like
no kidding.
Hendon Hooker fed on those plays in 2022. That was majority of the offense. That's why we had all these big splashes. And
right.
I don't know. I don't know what to think if Nico's not looking to the guy downfield or if he's just being told to throw it to the screen anyways. I don't know. I don't know what the situation is.
I don't either. I've heard some people say that we've had better physical quarterbacks since Hendon, but we haven't had a better mental quarterback since Hendon, and I don't necessarily disagree with that based off what we've seen so far. I'm not out on Nico yet. I wholeheartedly believe that he can continue to improve and that all the mistakes I've seen from him thus far are still fixable, not long-term worrying. I mean, they're freshman mistakes. They're mistakes that you typically see out of a freshman. Not what we want to see out of what we thought was a preseason Heisman candidate freshman. But he's just going to have to continue to grow.
And yeah, there's going to be growing pains. I mean, he just turned, I think, 20 like last week or something like that. And I guess where it's a little bit frustrating in my eyes, I'm like, I know he probably wasn't ready to play last year.
I would have rather seen these growing pains last year and went.
That was kind of where I was going with that. I just feel like we could have gotten some of this out of the way, and I would have sacrificed probably like a 7-5 year last year.
Exactly.
And just to get a full year under his belt. But once again, hindsight's 2020. With the way Joe played in the backup role the year before that, and him being in the system for multiple years, and what he did in the bowl game, you just thought that was the right
to lose.
It was. And did he really do that much to lose the job? Not entirely. I mean, our offense was still pretty solid. It wasn't up to the par that we were the year before. Defensive was kind of hit or miss. There was moments where we're like, wow, this defense has improved. But yeah, that's all last year. I mean, people will be talking for the end of time if we should have just played Nico in the back half of last year or whatnot. But that's all behind us now. The reality of the situation is he's playing now, and he's going to have to learn.
Absolutely.
And this is gonna happen. And the only reason I would ever be concerned is if he keeps repeating these mistakes.
Right. At some point, you have to learn from your mistakes. You have to get better. I hope that he's watching his own film just as much as he is Florida's film this week, just to learn what he can do better. I mean, we've all seen it. There were some receivers he missed. I don't want to harp on him too bad on the last play, but I'm sure that was frustrating to anyone watching. You don't like to see someone run out of bounds on the last play of the game. Whenever
We've seen it. We've seen it before.
we
We've
have,
seen it.
and it's scary to see that again. But I mean, that ball had to go in the end zone. Everyone in the stadium knew it. I mean, somebody's grandma watching the game on her TV knew that ball had to go in the end zone at the end of that game, and it didn't. So we're just gonna have to go from there.
He apparently, I mean, some of the players have said that he's been pretty down on himself over the last few days, which is probably pretty understandable based off some of the things people have said online about him. I can
Right.
imagine. I can imagine that's not a fun place to be in. But this is the time where the veterans on this football team need to get behind him and let him know that like stuff happens, man. It happens, and whether or not we need to throw the ball against Florida, I would really, 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 really appreciate
Some
and I think
confidence
Nico would
for-
appreciate just getting some confidence into the kid.
Yeah, like
I mean, when you see a young, talented quarterback and you plant confidence into their brain, it's like all of a sudden, there's not much freshman mistakes anymore.
exactly.
They can start playing out of their mind. I mean, you've seen it plenty of times in college football or the NFL. I mean, I think a great example is currently Jaden Daniels in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rookie quarterback. You don't really know what you're going to get out of a rookie quarterback. Normally, like the season is never like out of this world by any means.
Right.
And started off the first couple games kind of quiet, and then he balled out on national spotlight on Monday Night Football, and
Hasn't looked
ever
back.
since then, I mean, he's playing out of his mind.
Right.
Sometimes that's all it takes. That's all it takes. We know Nico has the capabilities, the athleticism. I don't think there's anything really going on in his head either, as far as bad. I mean, it's too early to say anything like that.
Let this one sting. It hurts. It sucks. You didn't play your best. But I hope, at least starting today, on Monday, a new week, he wiped that one from his brain and is just solely getting ready for Florida. Because that's what you have to do in college sports. Have a short-term memory. You can't get you down on yourself in the past for what you've done wrong. Learn from it, but let it go. We'll see if we can do that.
I don't know what we have to draw up. I don't care if it's the first play of the game. Take a shot deep. Do it. Just do it. With his talent, more often than not, I'm going to expect that we probably complete the pass. So
right.
If I was the coach, I think I would draw a shot play, probably play 1 or play 2, and
you got to.
That's something right there where you hit on that can literally change the trajectory of the entire season from there on out. But
if you don't hit on it, draw up another one in a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't go away from it for the rest of the game.
No. Just because you miss once does not mean it's the end of the world.
Right.
Nobody's 100% on deep ball accuracy in football. So
exactly. Well,
but with all that being said, Falls by 90.
That's right. Playoff bound.
Forever and always.
Gonna get into the rest of this crazy week.
Yeah, the last thing I'll add is, man, I love the delusion of being a Tennessee fan. There's no other fan base like this. We went from panic mode, red alert, everybody's running around and panicking and crying, and it's Monday, and I'm ready to go beat Florida by 3 scores. And I don't even think
right.
Is that a feasible expectation? Probably not. But we're back, and we're gonna figure this out.
That's right.
And we're gonna sit here and die on that hill.
And y'all can watch
even if we lose this week, I'm still gonna be convinced we're beating Bama. So
right.
But yeah, we can get into the rest of college football, and there was a lot of craziness this weekend. We were not the only ones, believe it or not.
No, we were not, and it's probably for the better that we were not. I mean, starting off the week on Friday, Oregon took care of business against Michigan State. they did what they're doing. They're getting their offense rolling. Gabriel's playing well. They have a really big game this week that we'll hit on later. But starting Saturday, and I don't know if all these are going in order of when they were played, but man, top one on my list is the Alabama-Vandy game. That one was crazy. And I may have gotten a little too cocky after that game. And I probably should have just sat there with my mouth shut until after we played. But it was crazy to watch. What do you think, Tegan?
I want to give a shout out to, I want to give two shout outs, okay? One, shout out to Vandy,
Right.
biggest win in program history by far. They will pay that $100,000 fine with a smile on their face for storming the field.
Absolutely.
And I don't blame them one bit. They took that goalpost all the way down Broadway, threw it in the Cumberland River. As a Tennessee fan, it couldn't have been any better done. That was cookie cutter to what we've experienced, and kudos to them. They watched the film on us. They knew as fans exactly what to do, even though there wasn't many of those fans there, but those were probably the happiest people in the world that night. And
absolutely.
And then my second shout out to you Alabama fans who were in our comment section on TikTok who were saying that we don't know ball because Bama shouldn't be the number one team in the country last week and Texas should. You are very, very lucky that Tennessee lost because I was going to expose you. But I chose not to because I was going to wait to make sure that we took care of our own business first, which we didn't. So we all suck. We all suck.
We do.
But we at least knew Bama wasn't number one in the country, and we were not wrong.
I think Tennessee was.
We had no one claimed anything about Tennessee. We just thought we should win this weekend, which we didn't.
Exactly.
But we never firmly made a claim. So just know, Bama fans, we are watching and we are listening.
We sure are.
We will see you next weekend.
We're not going to look ahead, though. It's going to be Florida.
Oh, we're looking ahead. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think we could even look past the UTEP game anymore, but
no,
that's besides the point. But yeah, Vanderbilt, awesome job. And
stopping Jalen Milroe on the run.
We didn't really give kudos in our game. Give kudos to Arkansas. I mean, they played a hell of a game. They got to storm the field, have some fun too. But gosh, crazy Saturday. Who else went down? It was
so 4 top 10 teams lost, 3 of which, or hang on, we lost, Michigan lost, Missouri lost, Miami almost lost, and not a top or 2 teams right outside the top 10 went down. USC and Ole Miss. So wild. I mean,
well, Ole Miss won this weekend.
You're right. Ole Miss won.
Who
USC lost? Missouri, not Ole
Missouri.
Miss.
That's the other one.
Missouri.
I think number 1, number 4, number 9, number 10, and number 11 all lost. And number 8 was on the fringe of losing.
They sure were.
But the ACC made another big phone call and said that, which for those who didn't watch the Miami game, it was super late at night. I personally turned it off at halftime because Miami was losing by 24 points or 25. Somewhere, it was something on there. There was 35-10 at some point. It might have been right after halftime. And I thought there was no way in heck that Miami was going to come back because Cal was playing really good football. They climbed back into it. Cal had the ball up, I think they were up 5 or 6 at that point with just under 2 minutes. It was a 3rd down, and the quarterback scrambled, ran, got hit in the head, like, pretty bad. And they called no targeting. Then they went to review, and the player literally spear tackled, lowering the crown of his helmet straight into the head of the quarterback. And then they said, call stands. Miami got the ball back, went down and scored, and that was the end of that.
Miami's got some. Somebody's got some money on Miami somewhere.
Oh, they've always had money. That's what got them in trouble all those years ago. But I mean, they're still undefeated. But like I said last week after the Virginia Tech debacle, asterisks right next to their name. I'm putting two of them now, one on each side because and they look beatable. So I think sooner or later, someone in that conference is going to just get the lead and not give it up, whether that's Clemson or Louisville or SMU, whoever.
SMU looks good.
They look really good, and they joined a bigger conference this year. They took that leap, and it looks like it's paying off so far.
It is. Other than that, Missouri turned out to be frauds. Like
we should have known that after the Vandy game, but now you're asking questions. What is Vanderbilt? Because they beat number 1 Alabama. They should have beaten. I don't know what Missouri was ranked at the time. I think 6 is what it was.
Yeah, we jumped them after that game.
And then you beat Virginia Tech, but then you lose to Georgia State. So I don't really know.
College football back.
We kind of called it after the Missouri game. We were like, I think Vandy might just be that team that kind of screws your parlay. B, is covering in games that they just probably shouldn't. And then they might pull one big upset. We said they might pull a big upset here or there and ruin someone else's year. And right on cue, Vanderbilt did it.
Just don't let it be ours down the line.
Yeah, let's hope that they've derailed by then.
No kidding.
Let's hope that.
USC, once again, disappoints.
Frauds.
Loses to Minnesota, unranked Minnesota. Yeah, they're also frauds.
And I'm sure people are sitting there calling us frauds too.
Probably. But, I mean, both the teams that we were talking about scored more points than us. Or Missouri didn't score more points than us, but USC did score more. Michigan, frauds. Lost to Washington. Washington got their get back, I guess.
And for those who kept up with our parlay, I am so sorry.
I hope you faded us.
I'm so sorry. If you faded us, you won money.
Right.
One of our friends jokingly told us that he was going to fade us, and he didn't. But I'm sorry that he didn't, because he would have been a more wealthy man than I was this Saturday.
No kidding. I mean, I had a flyer on Vandy that kind of made my day, but that would be about it.
And that was a joke of a bet.
Yeah, no kidding. A couple dollars down on him turned into a lot of money.
I don't know if it was Herb Street or somebody on College Game Day Saturday morning before all this chaos happened, was like, days like this in college football end up being the craziest. When you have all these ranked versus unranked matchups,
right? There's
not really a bunch of quote-unquote exciting games to look forward to. That's when chaos happens, and he could not have been more correct than that.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, other than that, there weren't too many big games to talk about.
Genty.
I was going to save that one for last. Was just Boise State, the Boise State Genties doing Ashton Genty things.
He's surpassed 1,000 yards now through 5 games.
5 games.
I don't know how many touchdowns, but I know it's in the double digits by now.
16.
So, okay, 16. That's
decent. Yeah, it's really cool that he surpassed 1,000 yards in 5 games. I'm sure people who haven't checked into him too much are like, oh, I bet they just give him the ball every play. He has less than 100 carries. He's averaging 11 yards a carry right now.
He played one half of football this weekend. Had 13 carries, 186 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
what?
I mean,
he took the first carry. He has me tuning in to the box score of when Boise State plays, just because I want to see what the heck is going on over there. I turned on the ESPN. Didn't turn on the game. I just went to the game cast on ESPN. And then I saw 0-0, and I was like, oh, Boise has the ball. Let's see what happens. First play, nothing. Second play, nothing. Third play, they're like, hey, why don't we give it to our Heisman running back? Oh, 1 carry, 63 yards, touchdown. What? People would be ecstatic if they had a full season with 1,000 yards and 16 touchdowns.
Right.
Can you look up what's the current gap between him and the second running back in college football? It's got to be deep.
So, player stat leaders right now. It's loading. Ward is leading passing with 2,200, followed by Dart with 2,100. Genty's leading the rushers by 300 yards.
Who's number 2?
He's got 300 yards more than Caleb Johnson from Iowa, who has 770. So I guess just shy of 300 yards.
How many carries does he have?
97. So 2 more carries and 300 less yards.
He has more carries than Genty?
Yeah. He's got 2 more carries than Genty.
Jeez.
300 less yards.
That is so awesome. Like, that is, like, we're on 2,000-yard watch.
Yeah. They play more than 10 games.
We are on 2,000-yard watch, and has that happened in college football? I don't know. Like, not to use the name O.J. Simpson, but I feel like he might have back in the day. I never thought I would drop his name on this podcast, but here we are.
Only a few rushers have.
It's got to have been a long time.
Barry Sanders,
Yeah.
2014 Melvin Gordon.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Kevin Smith from UCF in 2007. There's been a good amount of 2,000-yard rushers. I don't want to hit on all of them. Derrick Henry was one of them in 2015 in his Heisman year. LaDainian Tomlinson did it.
I should have known Derrick Henry because I remember he's the only player to ever get 2,000 in high school, college, and in the NFL. Right. So
McCaffrey did it.
I should have known that. But it's been a good minute.
Derrick Henry was the most recent in 2015. Wait, McCaffrey both did it in 2015.
Which I think they were both Heisman finalists. I know Henry won it, and I'm pretty sure McCaffrey was also there, which is insane to have 2.
Is that just rushing yards? I feel like McCaffrey's may have been total.
All-purpose?
Yeah.
Still, I mean, we're talking like this is still impressive. I mean, that's 7 years ago now, or 9 years ago, depending on.
No kidding.
If we're saying 2015, that's 9 years ago. I mean, that's elite. All those names you listed is elite company. So,
wait, we've had, Chuba Hubbard ran for over 2,000 yards in 2019. According to sportsreference.com.
Is this not a crazy feat? I thought that was going to be a crazy feat.
Either way, if he does it in 10 games, it'll be crazy.
He's also going to probably do it in a fraction of the carries that some of these guys probably got.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I remember watching Derrick Henry, Alabama. They fed that man the ball every drive. I mean.
Okay, so just for reference, the Chuba Hubbard in 2019 that I just referenced, 328 rushes.
I mean, Genty doesn't have 100 through 5 games. So there's just no way he would even get close to that many carries. Now, if he did, we're talking 3,000 yards.
That would be nuts.
You give him – I mean, technically he's on pace. If you were to give him 300 carries, I mean –
hey.
What's
Tennessee
the most ever
derailed,
season?
This becomes an Ashton Genty podcast. Most ever in a college season?
I'm looking. 2,628. Holy
Barry
crap.
Sanders.
By Barry Sanders. Danny Woodhead in Division II put up 2,700. That's a fun. You remember Danny Woodhead?
I do remember Danny Woodhead.
That's a mythical poll right there.
There are 25 players who have ran for over 2,000 yards in college. So
think
far.
about how many players have played college football. That's
Right.
an impressive feat. That's an impressive
It
feat.
is.
I'm not going to sit here and say he beats Barry's record of 2,600 yards, but I would not be shocked if he makes it close because
I mean,
if he was playing all 4 quarters of these games, he probably would be even closer by now. But
no kidding. He'll be playing on
I don't know.
Sundays. He'll be special.
Yeah, I mean, he's a junior. I don't know where he came from or why he has not been known until this year, but whatever's working, it's working.
He's playing in the Mountain West.
That is valid. They normally play past Tegan's bedtime, so
I'll be watching him this week though against Hawaii.
We will. But if we want to start getting into,
he's on pace for 2,474 yards right now. Just gonna end it at that.
Whoa. Okay. Genty for Heisman.
Right? Alrighty. You want to get into week 7?
We sure can. Man, we're already in week 7, Jamie. What in the world?
Only 2 more weeks until the playoff rankings come out.
I thought it happens after week 8.
Yeah. We're in week 7.
I mean, yeah. I guess
2 Mondays
less than
from
2
now.
weeks, really. But yeah.
2 episodes of this podcast, we'll be talking about playoff rankings.
You're so right. You're so right.
All right.
And Bama won't be one.
Yeah. Right?
Allegedly.
Kickoff. Yeah, we need a lot more crazy stuff to happen. Which could happen this week. Who knows? Kickoff Friday with, if anyone's keeping up with who may the non-Power 5 conference team that makes the playoffs be, Memphis and USF play each other. Memphis is favored by 7 in Tampa. Is that where they play, Tampa?
Yeah. Wait, they play this Friday?
Yeah.
I wonder if that gets moved with the hurricane, but
probably.
For those who don't know, there is a massive hurricane on its path.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for the state of Florida. After they literally had one a week ago. So hopefully everything goes well over there. But what was the teams? USF and who?
Memphis.
In Memphis. I would not be shocked if they just move it to Memphis, but
probably. But yeah,
I don't know. That will be a good game. We're actually on 55 straight days of football between the NFL and college, so there should be actually college football on Tuesday and
Liberty plays Tuesday against FIU.
So we get Tuesday football. We get college football on Tuesday, Wednesday,
Thursday,
Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh,
my Chanticleers play JMU on Thursday.
We are spoiled.
We sure are. But yeah, let's get into Saturday. Not too many. I mean, the only ranked matchup before Saturday is not even ranked matchup. Only ranked team to play before Saturday is number 16 Utah at Arizona State. But starting off Saturday, you have unranked South Carolina at now number 7 Alabama. That's on ABC at noon, where Bama's favored by 21. I would say they probably cover this and come out really mad.
I will never bet on 2 things here. Never going to bet on Bama to lose back-to-back weeks.
Right.
And 2, I am never going to bet on South Carolina ever again after they did what they did. We believed in Shane Beamer to cover this past weekend. Big mistake.
They go on the banned teams list. They're the first.
I will not touch South Carolina again this year.
Nope. Other games at 12 o'clock, you got number 10 Clemson at Wake Forest. ACC matchup. Clemson's favored by 20. Who knows if they cover or not? They've been rolling. They're a top 10 team now.
They've got their
they
kind of got their swagger back a little bit.
They have. Dabo's got the boys playing good. Number 21, Missouri at UMass. Might find out
Surely.
if they're real frauds, right? Yeah, surely.
Surely. Right?
27.5 point spread. We'll see.
And UMass is bad.
UMass is bad. They're probably going to cover and win by like 40 or 50. Washington, Iowa, unranked matchup. Probably going to be a mid-off. Could be a close game. Wisconsin, Rutgers, Georgia Tech, UNC. These are all 12 o'clock games. A lot of those games could be close, good games to watch if you're looking for something to watch in the, early on in the day. They just don't have too much meaning to them, I guess.
Not a lot of playoff implications, but as far as quality football, it might not be explosive, but I could see a lot of competitive games. I agree. A lot of
here's one, and I don't. This game might have the furthest thing from playoff implications, but at noon on ESPN Plus, you have Ball State at Kent State.
Holy crap!
Somebody's got to win that game.
What's the spread?
Ball State's favored by 6.5.
Better question. What's the over/under?
57.5.
Too high. Way too high. Way too high.
I mean, hey, someone's got to win that game.
I think it'd be better if they just don't play it.
Flip a coin. And then the 3:30 slate is really where a lot of people are looking at, especially with the Red River rivalry on ABC at 3:30. They play at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, and I mean, we've said that Texas should be number one in the country, and I think as of now they still deserve that. This is probably their biggest test thus far, unless you count Michigan, who, I mean, probably you could say equal playing field between Oklahoma and Michigan, but definitely a bigger rivalry for sure.
I mean, that game means a lot to both those teams.
It does.
If you think that Oklahoma's just going to, lay down and take it, you're probably wrong.
Right.
The same way, if you sit there and believe that Florida's just not going to try against Tennessee this weekend, you're definitely wrong.
Yeah.
Nothing would make a Florida or Oklahoma happier at the end of the season than beating their rival.
Absolutely.
It's just how football rolls. Sometimes you're going to play a bad season, but you're going to – I mean, how many times have we seen Auburn much, much worse than Alabama compete with Alabama or beat Alabama?
They always make it interesting.
They do. That's why we love rivalries in college football.
Absolutely. You got also on the 3:30 slate, you have number 4 Penn State at USC. A lot of people probably expected this game to have more playoff implications than what it does preseason. Penn State is currently favored only by 5.5 on the road. So we'll have to see about that one. A couple more ACC games. You have Stanford at Notre Dame. Number 11 Notre Dame now, where Notre Dame's favored by 24 at home. You have California, or Cal, at number 22 Pitt, where Pitt is favored by 3. That could be an interesting one.
Wait, I'm going to take 2 steps back here. Notre Dame is ranked 11th?
Yeah, they are. After a loss
they crawled their way back up there, didn't they?
They did.
Really casually.
Quietly.
Now, they've gotten a lot of help.
Yeah, they have. Off the recency bias, they were like, who remembers Northern Illinois lost? Look at Bama. They lost to Vanderbilt.
Vandy. Did you know that Bama has a 17-year-old receiver and they lost to Vandy this weekend?
Do you know you should be playing high school football right now?
I just found out. But,
yeah, Cal Pitt could be interesting. Pitt's favored by 3.
Cal played really good this weekend
did.
against Miami. So,
I mean, they're still going to be known as Florida State's first win, but
yeah.
Other than that, you got Louisville at UVA, Purdue at number 23 Illinois. Purdue's pretty bad this year.
There's going to be a lot of grinded out games this weekend.
A lot of these games are going to be like slugfests.
As far as betting goes, it's
kind of tough.
Yeah, a lot of toss-ups.
Yeah, for sure. Arizona at BYU, number 14 BYU. Look at Brigham Young. Mormons are playing
They're
good.
playing.
Yeah,
The Mormons are balling.
that's a big. I mean, a lot of people would say that's a big Big 12 matchup. Mississippi State at Georgia. Georgia's not
just
going
no
to
way.
lose that game.
Yeah.
Mississippi State lost to Toledo.
Bad.
Then to kick off the 7 o'clock or the night games, you got us, which we've already hit on earlier. Florida coming into town. It's Florida Hate Week officially.
Vols cover.
Yeah, Vols are going to cover the
Sorry.
15.5-point spread. That
In theory.
right, yeah. If we play the way we should, we will cover. Big game. Probably the quote unquote definitely the highest ranked match. We got number 2 Ohio State at number 3 Oregon on the West Coast, which is 7:30 Eastern time, but will be played at 4:30 on NBC over there.
Between Ohio State having to travel to Oregon and then Penn State has to travel to USC, right?
Yeah.
This is like our first chance to really watch like these top Big Ten teams travel to the West Coast, and I'm kind of excited for it.
Right. Oh my.
And then next year we get the opposite where we get to see these California boys have to go play in Pennsylvania in the middle of it being really cold, and it's gonna be it's gonna be entertaining just to see what happens.
It will be for sure. I think that some people, I personally feel like college football is trying to find a way to not give Ashton Jeanty the Heisman, no matter how much he deserves it, because it's a quarterback's award now. And I don't know. I could just see Dylan Gabriel going out there and throwing for 4 touchdowns and 300 yards and them calling it a Heisman moment against the number 2 Ohio State team.
We really don't know what to. I honestly don't know what to truly expect from that game.
We don't know what either team is, really.
No, neither team has played really. I mean, keep in mind, Oregon played Boise State. That was a 3-point game earlier this year.
But Oregon's not going to play defense on anyone. This one, I mean, this over set at 52.5, I think that's too low. I think it's going to be a shootout.
This being in Eugene, it definitely helps. It definitely helps the situation.
For sure. Next, you got this one will be on our parlay of the week, which, shocker if it's making a return. We promise, hopefully, not to do that bad again.
Many people probably thought we should kill that segment.
Hey.
We're going to die trying.
Y'all seem to like it, yeah.
We're going to die trying.
Number 9, Ole Miss, going into Death Valley at 7:30 on ABC, where the Rebels are currently favored by 3.
I've been told time and time again as a Tennessee fan that we have the best environment in the country. However, nothing beats Death Valley at night specifically.
Right. It'll be an exciting one for sure.
Which is why we're taking LSU.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, we're taking LSU to cover plus 3.
Which I think if they do that, they're probably just winning the game.
Probably could have gotten a little bit better odds. If you want to take them to win instead of taking them to cover, go for it. You got
With our picks last week. You probably should just pick Ole Miss to win by 20.
Yeah, no kidding. Other than that, you have Vanderbilt going into Kroger Field. I mean,
Personally,
when do we have to start rooting against Vandy?
Personally, I think they had too much emotion last weekend.
Right.
I think you're going to see a little bit of a crash. I wouldn't be shocked if they if they can just make it an ugly game.
Yeah,
that's a win. Like
right,
just don't sure. Like if you keep it close to Kentucky, everyone's gonna be like, "Wow, Vandy actually is competing with everyone they've played with." So
right. I think it's kind of a discredit to them. They didn't even sniff the top 25. I mean, they got votes. They did.
With the votes, I think they ended up being 30th. I think in the country.
Okay.
But with 2 losses, I mean, what do you expect? Especially one of them being Georgia State.
I guess
it would have been a morale.
A pity ranking.
A pity, you beat Bama, which
you get 1 week at 25.
Don't think anybody would be upset if they were put at 25 by
No.
any means. I'm sure, obviously, enough voters probably did if they received that many votes.
Right.
But
Yeah. Next, you have at 8 o'clock, starting to get into like a little bit later games, Iowa State at West Virginia, who is also going to be on our parlay of the week. We like the Cyclones there.
we do. They're playing good ball.
They are playing good ball. And then to cap off the night at 10:15, you have number 18 Kansas State going into Colorado. And I mean, who knows what that game's going to be? What Colorado are you going to get? They're at home, so maybe they squeak it out. But they've been winning they've been squeaking out a lot recently. So
I feel like the tables are going to turn a little bit.
Yeah, luck might run out there.
Yeah,
or who knows? They could win and be back in the rankings.
Be rolling.
Travis Hunter could be the Heisman favorite. And then to finish the night off officially, which I know this is going to be past a lot of our bedtimes, and we're probably all going to be either riding super high off of Tennessee or riding super low off of Tennessee. That you have number 17 Boise State at Hawaii at 11 o'clock.
I'll tell you one thing.
College football at its finest.
Ashton Genty after dark is going to be electric.
It will be.
It's going to be so electric. And nothing would make my Saturday better than spending all day tailgating for the Tennessee-Florida game, going into Neyland Stadium, whooping up on Florida, leave the stadium, and get to watch Ashton Genty play at like midnight.
Not just play, but run for like 200 yards against the Rainbow Warriors.
Unfortunately, there is no betting on college players in the state of Tennessee. But if you live in a state where it's legal to do that, seems like betting on his over is free money right now.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Infinite money glitch. But that's week 7. I'm excited.
It is.
You want to get into our parlay?
Yeah, to summarize what we kind of hinted at here or there with who we were picking, I'm going to show y'all my screen here. Are you able to see my screen, Jimmy?
I am.
All right. Is it a little bit bigger than last time?
It is.
Perfect. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we present you with our third attempt at a parlay of the week for week 7 of the college football season. This is a 4-leg parlay. The odds are plus 1181. So, for example, in this example, we put $5 down to win 64. 10 wins about like 100 and I think, what was it, 12?
It would be 118. Yeah.
118, somewhere around there. You do with that as you wish. We're going to take Tennessee minus 14.5 against Florida. Different betting sites have had Tennessee at like minus 15, minus 16, kind of in that range. FanDuel, which is what we're using in this example, was 14.5. We're going to take the Oregon Ducks at plus 3.5 at home against Ohio State, which actually makes me feel better that we got them at plus 3.5 than 3.
Right, I agree.
Just because they could lose on a game-winning field goal, and as far as we're concerned, we still cover.
Exactly. Same thing with LSU.
Right, perfect. Exactly the same thing. LSU at home against Ole Miss, Death Valley at night, which hopefully is everything as advertised, and they make that a hostile environment, and they come out with a win or just cover by any means.
Right.
And then if we're going to talk about Ashton Genty this much on this podcast, we might as well start riding with Boise State a little bit.
Got to.
They are a much better team than Hawaii, and we're going to take them to take the spread minus 21.5. They are putting up a lot of points, so I think this is a very reasonable expectation. The only concern I have is travel.
Yeah. Their defense, maybe.
That is, I mean, it's a long ways to get to Hawaii. Hopefully they are well rested and ready to go. But, I mean, we try to kind of follow the model of 2 underdogs and 2 favorites. and we're going to ride with that. Week 1, we were only one leg off. And last week, we had one leg hit. So,
yeah, do with that what you will. I'd say the Tennessee pick may be slightly emotional and slightly biased.
I mean, how are we going to go against them? You know what
Right.
I mean?
We're never going to go against them. They're going to be in our parlay of the week every week.
We're delusional.
We're not
Get
telling you
used
that
to
you
it.
have to pick them too.
Which, yeah, that leads us to the second part of this segment, which is we're not giving you any financial advice, so don't blame us if you tail and lose. You might be smarter to fade us.
I mean, we were talking about it before the podcast. I don't know when the last time Tennessee beat Florida by double digits was.
We probably just weren't alive. I'm going to be honest with you. So, I mean, the few times that we've won in our life, it's been nail biters. So,
Actually,
it's had to have been a while.
Yeah, I actually want to look it up.
Because in 2022, we got up like 17, and they closed the gap, and it was a one-score game, and they had a Hail Mary attempt and failed. But it got scary close towards the end.
Yeah, so we won in 22 by 5. We won in 16 by 10. Okay, there's a double-digit win.
And that was the game we were down like 20 points and came back and won. We scored like 30 unanswered or something like that.
Right. That was a huge game. 04 by 2. 03 by 14. Close.
Okay.
Close
That's about
recovery.
right. That's right where we're at, you know.
Yeah. 01 by 2.
And you said that was 03?
Yeah.
To put in perspective, Tegan was born in 2002.
Yeah.
And Jamie was born in 2001.
Yeah. So the last time we would have covered this spread would have been 1990, where we won 45-3.
I would love that again. Wow.
Yeah, no kidding.
Bring that back.
That was a number 9 Florida.
Bring that back.
Yeah.
That was 34 years ago.
Would that have been like Peyton's freshman? No, Peyton never beat Florida.
No.
That would have been.
Nope. Peyton didn't come into like 95 or 96, something like that.
Yeah.
Or 94, somewhere in that category.
Yeah.
I know all the older heads are like, these guys don't know what the hell they're talking about. Don't talk about. We understand we were not alive, so I can't really speak on that much. But
yeah.
I couldn't even begin to tell you who the hell the quarterback was in 1990. But they won 45-3. So whatever that juice was pumping, we need it, and
right.
we really just need 15. But
yeah, I was trying to see if it said who the quarterback was on the Wikipedia page, but I didn't see anything. But yeah, we do just need 15. That's all we need. If we play the way that we can, not the way we played last week, but the way that we know we can, we're going to cover that spread. I'm not worried about our defense. We can probably cover that spread if we just give the ball to Dylan Sampson. Do I want to see us do that? Not really, because I would like to see us give Nico some confidence back after the last game.
Also, y'all should be glad I'm not the offensive coordinator, because I think it's time for a trick play. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe I'm being serious, and I would not hate. I mean, maybe they're saving it for a better situation, but spark the offense, get it going.
Right.
I get it. We put up 71 points on Kent State. We put up 69, I think it was, on UTC. And we put up.
Nobody cares about those games.
40-something on NC State. Don't care anymore. I don't care anymore.
We're an SEC play.
We've played 2 SEC games. We have a combined 36 points.
That's bad. I mean, our defense is playing great. If we can put up 30 points a game, we should be winning these games.
I mean, we gave up 15 to Oklahoma, and we gave up 19 to Arkansas, so we're outscoring opponents in SEC play by 2 points. Is that correct? Is that math? 36-34?
Yeah. Needs to be more than that.
I'll give up. I mean, if you're giving up 34 points in over 2 games. That's averaging 17 a game. I'll give up 17 points a game. That's fine. That is
Right.
perfectly fine. I think we should be very capable of getting past that. But, I mean, I think we can sit here and ramble all day about what we should and shouldn't do. But
Any score predictions? Last second score predictions?
if somebody had a pew-pew to the back of my head, I would say I think 34. I want to say 17, but I don't know if we actually give up 17. So I'm going to say 34-13.
34-13.
You win by 21.
I was actually going to give Florida some more points than that. Maybe I'm not giving our defense enough credit, but I was going to say 21-38 and just let our offense cook. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at 3 touchdowns.
I'm going to go out and say it. Bold prediction. I think Nico throws multiple touchdowns this game.
That'd be nice. Has he done that yet?
Yes.
Yes. I'm not talking about like Kent State or UTC, but did he throw multiple against NC State?
I can't remember. I think he might have had 2, and then
I know he ran one, and he had at least 1 passing. But anyways,
I would love to see 3 passing touchdowns. I would love to
kidding.
see it. I would love to see it. Sprinkle in some explosive plays, and then that's going to make the run game just that much better. It's going to make it that much better.
Right.
But
everything will get better if Nico gets better. It will.
we're fine. We're
We
fine.
are.
It took us an hour and 11 minutes of this podcast, but I'm at the point we're fine. We're going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. And if it's not,
See you next week.
see you next week. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up today. We have our typical NFL preview coming out on Friday as you're sitting here listening to this on Wednesday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, and then watch us on Spotify. And you can, or listen to us on Spotify and watch us on YouTube. We like posting clips on TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that. So if you don't want to watch or listen to the whole episode, you can find them there. You can kind of summarize some of the things we have to say.
Check us out. Scroll.
Yeah, and we have a website that has everything on it. Other than that, thank you all for listening, and we will see you guys on Friday.
Yeah. Take it easy, y'all.